Why dropouts build empires while graduates beg for jobs. It's almost unfair. Most graduates spend 4 years and $100,000 to learn how to apply for jobs. Dropouts spend 4 years building companies that hire those graduates. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College after 6 months. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard. Michael Dell dropped out of University of Texas at 19. Elon Musk dropped out of Stanford after 2 days. 2 days. These aren't flukes. This is a pattern. And it's hiding a truth that every college brochure is terrified you'll figure out. Dropouts don't succeed despite leaving school. They succeed because of how they were forced to learn after leaving. I'm about to show you exactly what that looks like. And by the end of this, you'll never think about learning the same way again. Chapter 1, the survival switch. Here's what happens the moment you drop out of college. No more safety net. No grades to pass. No diploma at the end. No parent telling you it'll work out. Just rent, food, and a clock ticking. That's not a tragedy. That's a gift. Most college students study to avoid failure. Dropouts study to survive. That's not the same thing. Not even close. When stakes are real, your brain completely changes how it operates. Psychologist Robert Bjork spent decades studying this. He calls it desirable difficulty. When learning feels dangerous, when the outcome actually matters, your brain flags everything as critical. It encodes information permanently instead of temporarily. Think about that. Permanently. College students read a chapter before an exam. Dropouts read a chapter before a client meeting where real money is on the table. One of those people is going to remember what they read. The other one is going to highlight it in yellow and forget it by Tuesday. Dell didn't study business theory to get a grade. He started selling computers directly to customers from his dorm room because he needed the money. He learned pricing, logistics, customer psychology, sales, and supply chain management in real time because failure meant he was done. By the time he dropped out, he already had $80,000 a month in orders. His professor was still grading essays on business strategy. The classroom teaches you about fire. The real world throws you into it. Chapter 2, the speed difference. Here's something no one talks about. College is designed to be slow. Not because slow is better, because slow is easier to manage at scale. One professor, 200 students, one pace. The slowest person in the room sets the speed for everyone else. Dropouts aren't limited by that. When Steve Jobs left Reed, he didn't stop learning. He started auditing the classes he actually cared about. One of them was calligraphy. Useless, right? Wrong. A decade later, that calligraphy knowledge became the foundation of the Mac's beautiful typography system. The thing that made Apple products feel different from anything else. Jobs didn't learn calligraphy for a grade. He learned it because it fascinated him. And fascination is the most powerful learning accelerant in existence. Neuroscientist Dr. Jaak Panksepp studied this his entire career. He called it the seeking system. When your brain is genuinely curious, it releases dopamine before the reward, not after. It rewards the act of learning itself. You don't have to force yourself to focus. You can't stop. College kills this. It replaces genuine curiosity with manufactured deadlines. You're not learning because you're fascinated. You're learning because if you don't, you fail the course. Fake urgency, fake stakes, fake learning. The dropout has to find what actually works, fast, because the real world doesn't give partial credit. Hit subscribe before you forget this part. It gets better. Chapter 3, the feedback loop. Here's the problem with classroom learning, and it's brutal. You study, you take a test, you get a grade back 2 weeks later. By then, your brain has already moved on. The feedback loop is broken. You don't know what you got wrong when it mattered. You find out long after the moment has passed. Dropouts get feedback instantly. The product didn't sell. Feedback, immediate. The pitch fell flat. Feedback, immediate. The customer clicked away. Feedback, immediate. This is called immediate error correction. and research shows it's one of the fastest ways to encode learning permanently. When your brain gets real-time feedback, especially negative feedback, it releases a flood of neurochemicals. It marks the mistake in neon lights. It rewires itself on the spot. Erickson's research on deliberate practice confirmed this. The fastest learners in every field aren't the ones who practice the most. They're the ones who get the fastest and most specific feedback about what they did wrong. College students get feedback once. Dropouts get feedback all day, every day, from the most honest professor in existence. The market. The market doesn't care about your major. The market doesn't care about your GPA. The market asks one question. Does this work? Yes or no. Nothing else. That brutal simplicity is an education you cannot buy. Chapter 4. Learning without walls. Most college students learn in one place. Sitting down, quiet room, laptop open, fluorescent lights. 9 months of the same environment. Then they graduate and try to use that knowledge in a completely different context, and it doesn't transfer. Psychologists call this context-dependent memory. Your brain stores memories attached to the environment where you learned them. Studying in a library trains your brain to recall information in a library, not in an office, not in a pitch meeting, not when pressure is on and everything's moving fast. Dropouts learn everywhere. Garage, coffee shop, customer's office, failure, crisis, chaos. Their knowledge gets encoded across dozens of environments. It becomes flexible, transferable, bulletproof. Gates didn't just read about operating systems. He snuck into computer labs at night to practice on machines the university owned. He coded for hours in environments that weren't safe, weren't sanctioned, weren't comfortable. By the time he dropped out, he had already written a programming language and sold it. You can't replicate that in a classroom. You can read about swimming for 4 years. You cannot learn to swim without getting wet. But here's the real problem. You've heard all of this before, some version of it. Maybe not this clearly, but you've thought about it. You've wondered why your degree didn't feel like enough, why the job you got didn't feel like what you studied for, why the people who seemed to move fastest didn't follow the traditional path. And you keep waiting for someone to give you a system, a clear answer, a structured way to start learning the way the best learners actually learn. Here it is, simple, 4 things. 1. Find stakes. Attach what you're learning to a real consequence, a project, a client, a bet, a deadline with something on the line. Your brain won't treat it as optional if failure is visible. 2. Compress the feedback loop. Don't wait for someone to grade you. Test your knowledge in the real world immediately. Launch the thing, send the email, make the pitch. Get the answer today, not next month. 3. Ditch the syllabus. Stop learning what someone else decided you should know. Start from the problem you're actually trying to solve. Work backwards. Learn only what the problem requires. Everything else is noise. 4. Change the environment. Study the same thing in 3 different places, 3 different contexts. Your kitchen, a coffee shop, before a real conversation where you'll need to use it. That repetition across contexts is what makes knowledge portable. That's the dropout system. No tuition required. Here's the thing though. Knowing how to learn faster doesn't mean you know what to learn first. Most people take these methods and still waste them on the wrong 80%. They speed up their learning but aim at the wrong target. Fast garbage is still garbage. The prisoners in yesterday's video got this right. They didn't have unlimited options. That constraint forced them to go deep on exactly what mattered. No fluff, no optional units, just the thing that was going to get them out. You have unlimited options, which is exactly why most people go nowhere. That's why I made this video breaking down the exact method the fastest learners use to identify the crucial 20% worth learning before they touch anything else. It's almost unfair how much time it saves. Watch it next. And before you go, if this gave you even one idea that shifts how you think about learning, one concept you'll actually use, then this channel is exactly where you belong. We don't teach theory here. We find what actually works, strip it down to what matters, and hand it to you clean. If that sounds like what you've been looking for, subscribe. Not because I'm asking nicely, because in 6 months, the people who stayed here will be ahead of the people who didn't. Simple as that. Hit subscribe, stay sharp, I'll see you in the next one.